Now for our next example, where we're going to use the quadratic formula, we have the equation 20y minus 4y squared is equal to 28. Now you remember in the last example that we did together, I stressed that it's important that the equation be in standard form before we identify the values for a, b, and c. So that will be our first task here. And what I'm going to do is to make the left-hand side 0 and take all the terms to the right-hand side, because I generally prefer to work with a squared term that's positive. So we'll end up then with 0 being equal to 4y squared minus 20y plus 28. Now, if you're a shrewd observer, you'll notice that all of the terms on the right-hand side have a common factor of 4. So what we can do to make our computation a bit easier when we use the formula will be to divide both sides of the equation by 4 to make the coefficients a bit smaller. So we will then have 0 being equal to y squared minus 5y plus 7. So let's next write the general quadratic formula. Now in this case, because our equation contains the variable y, we're going to write y is equal to the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And I trust by this point you have memorized the formula. So let's next identify the values for a, b, and c. And we know that a is the coefficient of y squared, so a will be equal to 1. b is the coefficient of y, so b will be equal to negative 5. And c is the constant term, so c will be equal to 7. So substituting the a, b, and c values into the formula, we will have y is equal to the opposite of b, which would be the opposite then of negative 5, plus or minus the square root of b, so that would be negative 5 squared, minus 4 times our a value of 1 times our c value of 7, all over 2 times the a value, which would then be 2 times 1. So going back now and simplifying, we have on the top the opposite of negative 5 is 5, plus or minus square root, and negative 5 squared would be 25, minus 28, all over 2, and 5 plus or minus, and inside the radicand becomes negative 3, all over 2. Now what we'll do inside the square root is to rewrite the negative 3 as the product of negative 1 times 3. And so we have then as our next step 5 plus or minus, and you know that the square root of negative 1 will come out of the radical as an I, and we've recommended with a radical that you put it in front of the radical, so we'll have then I times the square root of 3 all over 2. So we can then say our final answer will be y is equal to 5 plus or minus I times the square root of 3 all divided by 2.